This song was written about a time in my life when I was really weird looking. And there were all these girls I was going to school with who were really terrific looking, and they were like cheerleaders and very tall and long blonde hair. And I was very short with curly dark hair. At 17, I learned the truth.
3, 2, 1. You're on Artist on Record, your ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artist. If it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss any other episodes. And share this with somebody who loves rock and roll as much as we do. Put your comments down below. And if you want to see this episode unedited, uncut, join our ADIKA Backstage Pass and Patreon. VIP, all access. You get to see these episodes unedited, uncut. Get to see me stumble, get to see me laugh, get to see me cry. And check out our merch store. But right now, we have the legendary Janis Ian, Society's Child at 17. Well, she just released last year, The Light at the End of the Line, which was nominated for a Grammy Award, as well as helped secure an International Folk Music Award for Artist of the Year last month. She'll move you with her music. She'll make you laugh. And ask me if I'm nervous having her on. You're absolutely right. Put your hands together for the legendary Janis Ian. It all starts now. Don't touch that dial. Very cool. You say you're not retiring, you're rewiring. And I love that. I love it.
Well, I think retiring carries such awful connotations for people in my generation. It means that everything stops. And I'm 71, I'm about to be 72, and I'm still working. I don't think any artist ever really retires. I don't think most people retire in the old sense. You know, that to do that means that, I don't know, if you don't play golf, you're kind of screwed, aren't you?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
It is. You are kind of, you know, while we were going through the pandemic and you were working on your record and this final record, what was going on through your mind during that period?
Oh, just trying to get through. I think like everybody else, you know, it was so terrifying at first, especially in our age group, because I think they made a monumental mistake in initially saying this mostly affects older people because it let everybody else relax. But we were just trying to get through. Clearly for us, financially losing a year's worth of work and then having it delayed yet again was hard. I had a lot of friends who didn't have the kind of financial backup we have because we're of an age to be getting pensions and Social Security. That was hard. And it was hard not knowing, I think, is always anytime you don't know. I think it's in us as humans that we need to know. We need some sense of security, some sense of stability, and not knowing what's going to happen day to day. I'm used to that on the road because on the road, everything changes on a dime every day. But when I'm home, I expect to be able to walk out my front door and not be terrified. So it was terrifying. And my friends in New York with the pictures of the morgue trucks was horrible. But when I started the Better Times project, then bettertimeswillcome.com is what it morphed into. When I started that, I was able to, I guess, make something of it that took up my time and made me feel a little safer. And then as we started coming out of it, there was just so much logistically to worry about as a performer. Do you insist on the audience being masked? Do you insist on everybody backstage being vaccinated? How do you test? How do you tell? Do we have all the paperwork we need to provide to prove to people that we're vaccinated? It was all, it became just an exercise in logistics for us.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty weird. I still have people who are coming down. We came down with COVID last Christmas in perfect time before the holidays and New Year. And it was horrible. I mean, we were both so sick and such high fevers and just trying to avoid the hospital.
Yeah.
So it's still present.
Resist. You put out such a great album. You did a track to Nina Simone.
Nina, yeah.
Nina, can you tell me, because the song is so beautiful and it's a beautiful
She,
tribute.
thank you. It was a hard song to write because it's difficult. I had never, where to start?
Nina, I can see your face.
Rarely write about people I know. It's very rare, maybe 4 times in my life. And that's over 55 or 60 years as a writer. Because it's hard to write about people you know. And it's hard because you hopefully see them as whole people. And to get a whole person in a song in 3 minutes and 3 verses and 2 choruses, it's really difficult. Nina, especially because she was so complex. I'm not going to say complicated, but complex. You know, she was, what I tried to get in the song is she was heaven and hell. So I used to say to people who asked why I kept going to see her that I would learn more in 5 minutes from a Nina Simone show than I would learn as a performer in an hour from anybody else. And I think that's still true. If you watch that film, Whatever Happened, Miss Simone, there's some brilliant footage of her performing that gives you a sense of the power she wielded on stage. The only other people I've seen who wielded that kind of power, I've seen a lot of great performers, people like Elton or Tina Turner and Bette Midler, but the only other performer I've seen wielding that kind of power in my generation is Patti Smith. Sinatra had it, that command of an audience and that charisma, Baez in moments, but the sheer raw power, very, very rare. And Nina had it over and over and over and over again. So she was amazing. She was also biologically crazy. And I know that's not a politically correct word right now, but it's the word that best describes her. She was nuts. And she would go off. She would just go off. So it was very difficult to be her friend or her colleague for that matter. But when she wasn't in that place, she was marvelous.
You were always beautiful to me.
That was the wonderful Miss Janis Ian. And if you want to see more of this episode, unedited, uncut, join our all access VIP backstage pass in Patreon. Links will be down below. You can find Janis's latest album. Links will be down below as well. The light at the end of the line. Click on something that's going to pop up either here or there. But make sure you subscribe and share this with somebody that loves rock and roll as much as we do. Until then, everybody, I am Stefan. You are beautiful. And remember, who loves you, baby? We do. Now get out of here, crazy kids. Yeah, true artists. It's in the brain. A true artist, you can't. If you look at a painting, you look at Van Gogh's painting. You go, "What was going on in his mind?" Just a true artist, and
you can't know.
You don't know.
We don't know.
You know,
we don't know.
You don't know. I got to play with Didi Ramon his final years.
Uh-huh.
And his band became his best friend. And I would tell people it was like the movie Ed Wood. He was like my Bela Lugosi. He just so eccentric, you know? And that's what I was. And on the other tracks, I want to go really quick because I want my audience to really, links will be in the bio down below in our description. Great. I want everybody to click on it. Another song that was really grabbed me because you have some punk edge to the folk sound, in which I was like, I heard like some of that edge.
Good.
Which is great. Were you a fan of the 70s punk era out of New York City?
Yeah, to a point. A big Patti Smith fan. Ramones. I thought that a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon without having the political background or sociological. But then again, you know, music is to be made. And to me, all the different forms, people who say, I hate this or I hate that, that's okay. I always use the example, I'm not a huge reggae fan. It escapes me. I don't get it. It doesn't move me. But I still know Bob Marley was a genius. So my not liking reggae doesn't mean that it's not good. It just means it's not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I think punk was like that for a lot of people. You know, it was a great expression. I think it was really necessary in music. And then it became codified like anything that's co-opted. And some people fought it, the codification, and some people didn't.
Yeah.
So interesting that you heard that, though, because on a song like Resist, that's what you're going for. You're going for the edge. Yeah. And when I was writing it, certainly writing about female circumcision and things like that, that's That's not the polite folk world that I came from, but it is the Woody Guthrie folk world I came from.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why when I was listening to the record, when Resist came on, I'm like, is this going to be her final record? Because, and excuse my language, I'm from Brooklyn and I talk like a sweat hog
I know
sometimes.
you sound like Shadow Morton.
I'm so
Great.
sorry. Some
No,
people
it's great. I loved Shadow.
but you have balls and you go out there and you still rock, and I'm like, God, she's so powerful. And it's like, is this really the final record? I kept asking myself, because it's
well, it is now because of the vocal scarring. I can't sing anymore. But with Resist, if I have one great regret about not being able to tour anymore, it's that I was really loving doing Resist live, because the whole audience would stand up at the end and they would all be singing the chorus back at me. And it was in England, in Cambridge Folk Festival. I had 15,000 people singing Resist back at me. It was great. And it was male and female, which was even better, because that gives me hope.
Yeah. I mean, what a high when you see the people just singing back. There's nothing better.
Amazing.
It's the best medicine.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
Another song you did, and I'm running really through, so because you're busy. Summer in New York. You captured the sound and the era.
Summer in New York, skies are blue, but I'm across the river, missing you, but nothing like before. Summer in New York, jazz in Central Park, chocolate kisses stolen in the dark, rooftop romance, sugar by the shore, summer in New York. What a time we had, gone from good to bad. Remember how we would strut and promenade the Strand. The men were hat in hand. Fifth Avenue was oh so grand. The heat came rising through our feet when sin and sidewalk meet. You're dancing to a very different band. Oh man. Now that we're apart, the memories more precious than forever. You'll always be my Coney Island heart. Summer in New York, summer in New York, summer in New York.
Of New York, because I had John Sebastian on my show, and
I love John. What a good guy.
Oh my God, he gave me 3 hours one day. I had bad internet. He came back the next day.
It's a sweetheart.
He's a sweet, nicest guy in the world. And he would talk about the scene with New York, how Dylan wanted him in his band.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
did you hang out in the city around that
Yeah,
time?
I was lucky. I was 14 when we moved to New York, so it was 1965.
Yeah.
It's the perfect timing. And I was already writing. Society's Child came out a year later, I think. I was playing with the Reverend Gary Davis down at the gas site. So I was sort of a mascot, you know, I knew everybody, but I wasn't allowed to go into the bars because I was too young, so I couldn't
Yeah.
do that, hang out. But I knew everybody, and also from Broadside Magazine. So I knew Phil Oakes and Eric Anderson, people like that. It was a great time to be in the village. It was amazing. It was you could if you were a performer, you got into most of the clubs free, and you could go. I remember there was one night, I think I saw Hendrix at the Cafe Go-Go maybe, or
Wow.
BB King, and then I saw John with Love and Spoonful, and then I saw Mike Bloomfield at another club all in one night. You know, that was great.
Amazing.
It was great.
It's amazing. I have a friend of mine, Kenny Vance, who's part of Jane the Americans, good friend of mine, and he would tell me a little bit about. He's part of the Brill Building world, and what a scene! What a great time for music. Just even though the world was politically, everything was wild, but
But music was part of that.
it was so it captured your music captured the era. Like,
Well, thanks.
you went from, and really quick, 67, Society's Child, young girl writing this incredible song that's so moving, and then you get some slack, like you're on the Smothers Brothers. I was reading about,
Yeah,
with Bill
Bill
Cosby, the
Cosby.
way
Yeah, what
he
a
was
jerk.
acting about stuff like
Yeah.
that, and then you come out with at 17 and 75, which is such a powerful song, but you have that punk edge when you're getting the Grammy, when you're winning it, you're sitting there and you have this punk edge, and you don't say much on your speech, but you just have the attitude, a New York attitude, and it's
There's
I think you're going to agree that it's worth it, though, because here are the nominees for the Best Vocal Performance Female.
That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way.
Helen Reddy, Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady. Janis Ian at 17.
Have you never tried?
Olivia Newton-John, Have You Never Been Mellow? Linda Ronstadt, Heart Like a Wheel. Judy Collins, Send in the Clowns. And the winner is, at 17, Janis Ian.
Thank you. It's been a long time. Thank you.
It's very New York, very New York. That's part of New York. New York in the summer in New York. You know, that feeling that you have in New York in the summer when the congas are going in the park and people are panhandling and people are busking and people are doing mime and people are doing acrobatics, and you just name it and it's right there in front of you. And I used to sit across in Jersey where I lived when I was younger, and I would be 12 years old listening to Bob Dylan, listening to Joan Baez, and looking at the New York skyline and thinking, someday I'm going to be there. Someday, you know, it was the dream to be in New York, and it was everything that I could have hoped it would be.
You got to do some great stuff. First Saturday Night Live, 1975.
Yeah.
That's
that was
so cool.
Nobody would have
Legendary.
thought it was going to become what it has become. It's just amazing.
No, no. What's a good memory? You have a great memory from that, from being on that show?
Just seeing Jim Henson, but not knowing it was him and looking at this pig and thinking, okay, what have I gotten myself into?
So you didn't think it was going to be anything? What?
Nobody did. Nobody
Yeah.
did. It was the first really live entertainment show since Sullivan. So people were freaked. If you look at that first one, George Carlin and I and Billy Preston, we were all relaxed because we all grew up doing live TV.
Yeah.
But the Second City Players kids, I think it was Second City, they were really, really nervous because they'd done live improv, but they hadn't done live TV.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was a
great.
whole other thing. It was
It's a-
great.
It's a great thing. Really quick, and I want to try to fit this in there because your music influenced so many people. I want to know if you could give me, if it's 45s or top vinyl records that influenced you, that
Oh God,
moved you.
we'd need hours. We would need hours.
I'll always make time for you, Janis, if you ever come back on.
Thanks. The Miss Aluba, the Congolese mass, big influence. Everything I heard. I mean, I loved Patti Smith's Horses album. Thought that was great. Dylan Baez, Dylan is a writer. Leonard Cohen is a writer. We all strive to have Leonard's elegance and wit as writers. The Beatles, clearly. The Stones, clearly. All of those things, and a lot of classical music, a lot of Beethoven, a lot of Bach,
Yeah.
a lot of Ravel, a lot of jazz. Coltrane Sound is one of my all-time favorite albums. Trumpet player, his name just escapes me right now. Chet Baker. Chet Baker. Yeah, amazing album. The best Chet Baker, or Chet Baker Sings. Just an amazing player and singer.
Another tortured story, which is a crazy.
But you know what? That tortured artist thing, that's really hard because most people lead very difficult lives. I mean, most of us don't have an easy time. And with artists, it's more apparent. I think the truly crazy artists, the truly mentally disturbed artists like Nina are few and far between because you can't last. You can't stand up under it. Most of us live very public lives, especially now with the internet. And so all of the clay feet comes out. There's a constant battle on my Facebook page because if I quote somebody that is politically incorrect right now, or that Flannery O'Connor, who had a history of racism in her private writings, people then move away from the quote and away from the whole point of the work and move into their private lives. And that's very much a contemporary thing. To me, I don't, past a certain point, I don't care what their private lives were. I care what they were doing with their work. That being said, there are people who I won't put money in their pockets because I don't like the way they are. But if it wasn't for the internet, we wouldn't know most of this stuff. So why get bound up in it?
No.
It's in the interests of the music business to keep us childish and to keep us ignorant. It's in the interest of the business people. So a lot of artists take that as license.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unhealthy to me.
It is unhealthy.
You do your best work when you're at your best. I can't write when I'm sad. I can't write when I'm depressed. I can't write when I'm... Well, Resist grew out of anger, but I didn't write it when I was angry because those are emotions that you have to separate yourself from when you're writing. Otherwise, or just write for yourself, Don't write for a universal audience.
Yeah, you just write for you. Absolutely right. Resist is a great. It's a great sounding record, and the production is really great too.
Thank you. I take full credit for that. Thank you. Except for Resist, which was Randy Liego, and Better Times Will Come, which was Victor Krauss.
Yeah.
They
let me ask you.
those.
I know this is your own label. Would you take other acts and bring them on there?
No. I have enough. No, Steve. I'm self-managed. I'm self-published. I'm self-recorded. I run a record company, a publishing company, a management company. It's just, I work 8 and 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, usually.
Wow.
It's too much. I don't have the infrastructure to pick up that slack for me. So if I want to take a week off, I still am on email. I mean, if you're going to be an indie artist, you just really have to learn that all of those jobs are going to be yours. Mm-hmm. And if you want a continuing career, you have to pay attention. So you wind up doing more business than you do creative. And that's really not okay.
That's a drag. It's
a big drag.
Because you're an artist and you want to be, and your mind's always going in your head, and then you have to divide it. It's too much. Really quick. Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix. Come on, you're a kid hanging out. You're on a bill. There's
Yeah,
marquees.
but nobody knew they would be legends. Who knew?
I
I mean,
know.
and that's the thing about legendary. I mean, that word to me always means you're dead, you know? It's just
Oh, you
um,
know what? Then I got to fix this because I did an introduction. I go to legendary,
no,
and I
that's
need you to.
fine. Legendary, it's lovely to be called that. And now that I'm in my 70s, I accept it happily.
You know what? You move so many people. Just even a song has so many people will take your lyrics and make it their own and create their own story. Like,
That's
oh,
great, isn't it?
and
It's great.
that's a great thing, Janice. That you.
It is absolutely.
It's a
People
beautiful
always
thing.
say, you know, if I post a good cover of one of my songs, people say, "Oh, but yours is better." And I always say, it's not a contest. This is an honor to me. When somebody cuts my work, I don't care if they're Celine Dion or they're Joe Schmo. It's an honor because
Yeah.
it means that somebody was so moved by that work that they made it their own. And that's huge. That's what I want as a songwriter.
It is Roberta Flack with Jesse.
Amazing cover.
Amazing. It's amazing. And when you hear like somebody like that doing your track, or you're in a store, you hear somebody else doing your music,
Blows me away. Yeah,
it's a great feeling.
absolutely. To
Janice,
this day.
yeah, it's a great thing. Janice, I'm so happy you were here, and I know you have to run.
I'm sorry I have to run. Yeah,
I would-
I'm just backed up right
I
now.
know maybe one day I could get you back here. I'll beg you PR people to talk more rock and roll with you. It was a pleasure.
It'd be great. Rock and roll. Yeah.
I had a great
It's
time
where it
talking
starts.
with you. And
Back at you. And it's great to hear the accent. Honest to God.
really,
Did you go to Erasmus or Lincoln?
what's that?
Did you go to Lincoln or Erasmus?
South Shore High School in Canarsie.
South Shore. Oh, Canarsie. Okay.
The L train. And then I
Okay,
moved to
yeah.
Manhattan. I worked for Circus Magazine when I was a kid. And then I came to LA. It was a pleasure. I feel like
My pleasure.
I feel
Thank
like I
you.
know you from your music, but now even talking to you, it's been better.
Oh, good. That's
Thank
great.
you. Thank
That's
you.
great.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
for being such an inspiration to everybody. And you have a wonderful time. And congratulations with your music and everything you do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye,
Have a good.
Janice.
Bye-bye.
That was Janis Ian. She was great, wonderful, and that went easy. Oh, what a great lady. Well, anyway, I am Stefan. You are beautiful. This is Artist on Record, your ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artist. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss any other episodes. I'll put the shades on. That was the wonderful Miss Janis Ian. And if you want to see more of this episode, unedited, uncut, join our all access VIP backstage pass in Patreon. Links will be down below. You can find Janis's latest album. Links will be down below as well. The Light at the End of the Line. Is it her final album? Remember, she's not retiring, she's rewiring. But she was a lovely lady. Check her out. Click on something that's going to pop up either here or there. But make sure you subscribe and share this with somebody that loves rock and roll as much as we do. Until then, everybody, I am Stefan. You are beautiful. And remember, who loves you, baby? We do. Now get out of here, crazy kids.